Well, thank you. You invited the First Minister, but I'm afraid you've got me. So I'm sorry about that. But you got me because I share Mark Drakeford's passion for tackling climate change and for harnessing the power of renewable energy to cut our emissions and, crucially, to nurture our local economies at the same time. The two need to go hand in hand. You'll know the Paris Climate Change Agreement set a target of no more than 2% global warming above pre-industrial temperatures by the end of this century, and we're currently on track for more than 3% by the end of the century, and we're likely to burn through the rest of the aspirational carbon budget within the next 3 to 10 years and reach 1.5 degrees by 2040. So we need to act, and we need to act quickly to avert this crisis. It's why I came into politics, and it's why in a previous life I set the Institute of Welsh Affairs, which I used to run, to the task of coming up with a plan to see Wales powered entirely by renewable energy. And it reported last month, as you heard this morning, and it's an impressive piece of work if you haven't seen it. The IWA report identified a potential pipeline of 4,000 megawatts of marine energy in Wales and a possible investment of £6 billion off the back of that. Last week, the Welsh Government published our plan for a low-carbon Wales, a piece of work that, it's fair to say, has been long in gestation, and it sets out 100 policies and proposals across all portfolios. And it's a good start to do what we must do, demonstrating a collective cabinet commitment to shift us towards a low-carbon economy. The first sentence in Mark Drakeford, our new First Minister's own personal manifesto on energy, was a stark one. Oil is running out. It's not something you hear many mainstream politicians saying. He went on to say Wales should lead the way in the production of energy from renewables and in developing the technologies which will lead us to a future of sustainable energy. That's what our First Minister thinks. He is personally passionate, as I am, about this agenda, and we now have an enabling legislative framework. The Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, the Environment Act, with its legal commitment to an 80% cut of carbon emissions by 2050, and the new edition of Planning Policy Wales, which sets out some practical changes to enable our aspirations to be enacted. But I'm not standing here to tell you that this is enough. It's clearly not enough. Our target is to produce 70% of our electricity from renewables by 2030. We currently produce 42% of our electricity from renewables, and we have 11 years left to meet that target. So we all know we need to do more, and we must work together. This is my main point of being here, to find practical ways to achieve our shared ambition to do more. I think we are, I was just discussing with some of your colleagues, the Welsh Government has been stepping into the space to throw a lifeline to the marine industries in the UK over the last few years. But there is so much more that we can do, and I'm sure everybody in this room can taste the potential and is frustrated that we're not getting there at the pace that we all would like to get there. But I think it is a time of opportunity. Again, in his manifesto, Mark Drakeford said that investment in renewable energy should be a cornerstone of our strategy for the Welsh economy. We have in abundance, he said, the raw material for the sustainable energy of the future: wind, water, and waves. We must continue to invest in the technologies which will shape the future of the world in an era of energy shortage. And he went on, we must go beyond technological breakthrough to equip ourselves to create the industries which these technologies will then produce. This is where the long-term jobs for Wales are to be found, and in parts of Wales where such employment here has been in short supply. That's the vision of the Welsh Government, and there's already a lot going on. In North Wales, Minesto's Deep Green project off the coast of Anglesey has generated its first electricity on-site in Wales. In South West Wales, Marine Power Systems are currently testing their wave sub-wave energy, and have built lasting relationships with the Welsh supply chains. And as you've just heard, MPS plan to diversify into floating offshore wind with devices to offer a solution to wind energy in deep water locations. And we're hopeful this will be deployed within the existing demonstration zone in Pembrokeshire. This is an exciting development. I'm very sorry I got in the way of you answering questions. I'm sure that's frustrating. In these demonstration zones in Pembrokeshire and in North Wales, we are investing in upscaling R&D and bringing international know-how and capacity to Wales. And that's the value of pump priming marine energy projects. We're putting in place the foundation stones for a sustainable industry in Wales, as well as producing, bringing economic benefits, building expertise within the wider marine energy supply chain, helping companies in the oil and gas sector to diversify and enhancing the academic expertise within the sector. We're delighted that the Australian company Bombora set up its European headquarters in Pembrokeshire following an investment of over £10 million of EU funding to design, manufacture and deploy and test their 1.5 megawatt M-Wave energy converter in Welsh waters. Marine Energy Wales' own State of the Sector report, which was launched this morning, shows the positive impacts of this industry in Wales, such as providing well-paid and interesting jobs in rural areas and growing research capabilities of our universities. And we look forward to working with Marine Energy Wales further. And that's the message I'd like to give to you today. You know, we are serious about this. We want this to happen. It isn't simple. It is complex. But we want to work through the problems with you. And we want practical solutions from you to help us to do that together. So if you are hitting barriers and you are meeting frustrations, get in touch with us. Next month is the 20th anniversary of Welsh devolution. And the whole point of creating a layer of government in Wales, it will be closer to the people and closer to the communities to fashion solutions to our problems. And that works because we have relationships. But those are relationships we need to capture and to nurture and to use. So take us at our word. If you are having problems, come to us. We're not far away, and we want to work with you to provide solutions. I don't have to tell you what the important role EU funding has played in the development of the sector to date, and I could rattle off a list of projects, and you'd be familiar with them. And we are living through dark and uncertain times. Yesterday, the First Minister met with the Prime Minister again. We have pressed the UK government repeatedly to honour their promises they made during the referendum that Wales would not be a penny worse off if we left the EU. We're still waiting for the detail on that. We are working on a new framework for regional investment in Wales that can be ready by 2021, and we think it's vital that the strong links the industry has built with European partners are maintained. That's why the Welsh Government wants to ensure that the UK Government continues to support participation in European cooperation programmes beyond 2020. But Brexit plainly presents a challenge to us all. There's no point denying it, as does the aversion of the current UK Government to incentives for renewable energy production. So let me be clear. The Welsh Government is committed to green energy production in general and marine technology in particular, and we have a continued commitment to tidal lagoon technology in Wales. Wales's first national marine plan gives the ability to identify strategic resource areas for marine energy to support the development of projects at specific sites. We have new powers devolved to Welsh ministers to consent energy projects up to 350 megawatts, both on and offshore, as well as an associated overhead electric lines of up to 132 kilovolts. This is a step forward for Wales, and we intend to introduce new consenting arrangements that strengthen and streamline the process on and offshore. Developers in Wales have indicated a potential investment of £1.4 billion over the next 5 years if market and development incentives are in place. We believe the UK Government has been short-sighted in removing ring-fence support for innovative wave and tidal technologies. My colleague, the Minister for Environment, Energy and Rural Affairs, has raised this issue of continued support on several occasions with the UK Government, and the First Minister has now written twice to Greg Clark since the Marine Energy Summit in Swansea only recently. We will publish a report on the Marine Energy Summit later this month, highlighting the opportunities for the sector. The Innovation Power Purchase Agreement discussed at the event is a credible way to enable the marine energy industry to catch up with more established technologies, and I'm pleased the UK government is now seriously considering the benefits of the IPPA revenue support mechanisms and has met with representatives of the Marine Energy Council. So to conclude, I have no illusions regarding the challenge decarbonisation presents and the uncertainties around the relative contribution of the different energy technologies. But these are exciting times despite the challenges, and we are committed to work with you to make the most of them, because the opportunity is too great and the danger of not acting is too grave. Diolch yn fawr.